Ride along each week as we share proven strategies to strengthen your business, energize your team, and create the business success you've been dreaming about. And now, here's your host, Rich Allen.
How often do you share your customers' wins? Welcome to the Ultimate Business Tune-Up Podcast, where our one and only goal is to help you tune up your business so that you can have the long-lasting success and fulfillment that comes from owning a solid, profitable, and sustainable business. Each week, we dive deep into a single topic related to improving your business, improving your team engagement, or improving your relationship with your customers. Our topic today is one that we can all agree is fun, energizing, and uplifting, sharing our customer wins. But with that being the case, why is it that not many of us take the time to celebrate when our customers win? Honestly, this may be the easiest and best way for us to tell our story and make others feel great in the process. But far too often, we're too focused on our situation, and we totally forget about the wins of those who are keeping us in business, our customers. Well, today is the day that we're going to change that. Today is the day we're going to put our customers in the top position, and we're going to brag on them as if they were our own children. Think about it. When your kids were young, or if they're still young, you bragged on them for everything they did, whether they could do it well or not. You were so proud of them for just trying something new or stepping out of their comfort zone. How do I know? Because I'm just like you, and I can prove it. When my oldest daughter started recording songs she was singing, I shared them with everyone I met. No, she wasn't selected for American Idol, even though I think she was better than most on the show. But to me, she sings like an angel, and I wanted everyone to know it. When my son qualified for state in the 800-meter run in high school on a cold, miserable, and rainy day, I was jumping, shouting, and trying to record it all on video at the same time. And you can be sure I told everyone I knew about how tough and determined he was because I was so proud of what he had accomplished. When my youngest daughter stood in front of her high school peers and gave a speech that was so well written and delivered so flawlessly that I beamed with pride, you can be sure that I talked about it for weeks on end with everyone I could. You would have thought that JFK or Martin Luther King should take speaking lessons from her. I talked about it so much. And as you can imagine, when my grandson climbed the stairs all by himself at the ripe old age of 14 months, you would have thought that he had just summited Mount Everest by the way I described the challenge and struggle he had to make it all the way to the top. Look, I know you do the same thing. In fact, many of you have told me stories about how your special people have done something amazing, whether it has to do with a sailing trip, a wedding, a football or baseball game, or in their most recent promotion. So we know we can brag on others, and we know we like to brag on others, so why don't we do more bragging when our customers have big wins? You may be thinking, well, how do I know when they have a big win? Or you may be thinking, what business is it of mine to jump into celebration mode when they don't even celebrate themselves? I think you should be sharing your customers' wins for two big reasons. Number one, because when you celebrate your customers, you're actually bragging on the work you did to help them achieve their big win. No one wants to listen to you brag about yourself, and to be honest, it just feels awkward, as my niece would say, to just brag on how good you are. But everyone likes to hear a success story or a win by another business or another person. And by being the person who's telling the story, you're instantly associated with the big win. The second reason you should be sharing your customers' wins is because when you do it, it will likely trigger them to say something very complimentary about you and how you helped them achieve their win. It's the easiest way ever to get a glowing testimonial. By sharing your customers' wins, you actually trigger the psychological concept of reciprocity, or the obligation to do something nice in return for your kind gesture. Reciprocity is a powerful social force, and while we should use it only in appropriate situations, sharing a customer's win is certainly an appropriate time to light up this powerful response mechanism. So just how should you start sharing your customers' wins? There's no specific formula or method. I just recommend you start by adding some customer wins to your normal, routine communications and outreach. Here are a few examples that might help. If you follow your customers on social media, you can be intentional about checking their feeds and commenting, reposting, or sharing any wins or celebrations that they post about. This only takes a few minutes each day or each week, and all you need to do is react to their celebration. If you make social media posts yourself on a regular basis, you can always add some posts sharing the wins your customers have. Just make sure they're okay with you making it public, but once you do, they'll love having you brag on them to your followers, and they will likely share it too. I'll share one idea related to this approach that I see often that I think's pretty powerful and brilliant. I don't know the salesman, but a guy who sells Mercedes vehicles is regularly posting pictures with his customers standing in front of the new car or SUV they just purchased. He brags them up for making such a smart purchase decision, and while he's celebrating their win, he's also telling the world that he's the best Mercedes salesperson on the planet. And if you buy from him, he'll let people know you're a savvy buyer too. If you regularly write a blog post, make it a habit to write about one of your customers' big wins. Tell their story and share it with your audience. This can work if you're thinking about writing a book too. Everyone wants to see their name or their company's name in writing, especially when someone is telling about how great they are. If you have a podcast like I do, it's super easy to celebrate your customers' wins. If you've listened to many of my previous episodes, you'll know that I share my customers' stories a lot. And I do that because I know it makes them feel good when they hear me talk about them, and I get some credit for having helped them get the win. If you do any marketing at all, you've got the means of sharing your customers' wins. It doesn't matter what method you use. I would simply encourage you to talk about their wins far more than you simply talk about how good you are at what you do. They will feel better, you'll feel great, and I promise you, it won't be awkward. So here's your homework assignment for this week. Take a few minutes to write down the recent wins your customers have had. If you can't think of any, then you'll need to begin following your customers more closely and pay attention to what they get excited about. Decide how you'll share your customers' wins. Will it be on social media, through a blog post, on your podcast, or in your written marketing material? Establish a rhythm for sharing your customers' wins. It may be that you highlight one customer each month. Perhaps you set a goal to share a customer's celebration post each week. Whatever frequency is best for you, set a rhythm. If you have a specific question about getting started, or would just like to bounce a few ideas around with me, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. I'd be glad to help you think through how to best share your customers' wins and generate some good, positive vibes in the process. And if I could ask a big favor, please share this podcast with 2 or 3 of your colleagues who you think might find it helpful. I'm trying to expand my reach and serve more business owners, and I'd be honored if you were willing to share it with others. Thanks for joining me today. Be sure to tune in next week when we're going to discuss position agreements. You won't want to miss it. Meanwhile, if you have a question, suggestion, or would just like to connect, shoot me an email at rich@tourtoprofit.com. Now go make it a great week, and whatever you do, ride hard.
Thank you for listening to the Ultimate Business Tune-Up. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, find more resources at tourdeprofit.com and connect with Rich by sending a message to rich@tourdeprofit.com. Until next time, ride hard.